5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome, everyone, to Truth, Beer, and Consequences.
Hi.
This is a podcast where my co-host and I listen to all of the Cincinnati-based craft beer media and watch all the Cincinnati-based craft beer media, and then we get together at a podcast host. And today we are back.
Not back. Oh.
Well, we've been at
we
Fretboard.
have, but this is true. This is true.
So we are back at Fretboard Brewing in Blue Ash.
Yes.
I am.
Why did we show up here? As I interrupt you, I'm sorry. We didn't plan this. Yeah.
Because they have Dolly, their honey Kolsch on right now, and today is Kolsch
night. Yeah. So we decided we are getting all the Kolsch on.
We are pre-gaming Kolsch.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Kolsch style. Because we don't want to assume where their water's coming from.
I couldn't taste the clone.
I couldn't taste the colon either, so that could be a good thing.
It sounds, when you put it that way, yes.
It's all about the pronunciation, as you know if you've listened to our show for any amount of time. Marco, I'm sorry. I interrupted our amazing intro. I am tossing this back to you.
That's fine. I am Marco. I'm a taproom manager here locally. I brewed some beer for a few years. And that other voice you heard belongs to the best co-host in Podcast Landia.
I am Julia. I love craft beer, and certain things should never be called meat unless you're a serial killer.
I agree. Nova's not here. He had to go hunt a chubby. I don't know what that means. So, but happy birthday to...
Happy birthday to the gnome.
To the gnome. We are actually going to meet up with him later at Kolsch night.
And then again this weekend for
his birthday celebration.
Yes.
So
all kinds of goodness.
No good craft beer podcast would be a good craft beer podcast if we weren't having craft beer. And what are you drinking, Julia?
Well, I already finished my Dolly, which was absolutely amazing. And so to not over Kolsch myself today, I am going to be drinking a Peso. And it is the cutest Peso that I have ever had in my hand.
It's a cute Peso.
It is a very cute Peso in my hand.
I have Improv, their American IPA.
Hell yeah. Great beers.
All the thoughts and opinions on this podcast are ours and ours alone. They do not reflect any entity which we may be affiliated with, such as our full-time jobs, our part-time jobs, or the establishment in which we're recording at today, that is Fretboard Brewing.
But it may represent Fretboard Hamilton.
It's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
If you want to hear more about that, go listen to our last week's episode, our 2 hours with Jim.
Holy crap, it was amazing.
Jaime Flaco.
Yes.
Whatever.
James Grande.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you want, so the general public only got about an hour and a half of that conversation. If you want the full 2 hours and 20 minutes,
oh boy,
sign up for our Patreon, and I will let you know how to do that at the end of this show.
Oh my God.
Oh, Marco's his head is in his hands, recalling the amazing chaos that was that episode. It was so much fun. Jim is always so much fun to have on the show, and I mean, we extended the invitation. Any Tuesday he's free, so hopefully we'll get more of that chaos in more frequent intermittent spurts as we go on. Yeah.
So let's see. This was a little bit of a slower week in the Cincinnati craft beer media.
True.
So what do we have, Julia?
We have a quarter of an episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Okay.
And the only other full episode that we're both going to talk about is Barstool Perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to start with the quarter episode of Craft Parenting Podcast, episode 157, G.I.L Appreciation Day. And I say a quarter of an episode because even though this is like the 15th episode this year that they've done where they've mentioned G.I.L, they didn't mention a ton about the beer. It was more of their parenting problem in this episode, which is fine, but it was a lot of recap of what they did each day, and we're a beer podcast, not a parenting podcast, so we're not going to go over absolutely everything.
Don't get your parenting advice from us.
True that. You especially me, because I legit have no idea what the hell I'm doing. You at least have half a clue.
Well, I'm just winging it, Julia, every day.
They started the episode by assuming St. Patrick's gender.
Yes.
So, I mean, come on, guys. Be a little bit better than that. And they did not mention the patron saint of cats who shares their holiday with St. Patrick.
Oh,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, just, you know.
Yeah.
We found out in this
Google it.
episode, well, speaking of Googling, we found out that Joe does not read or use the Google Doc that Caroline so carefully curates week in and week out.
Yes.
So there may have been a little bit of a tension that you felt when
There were a couple of instances where there was some tension, actually.
It's true. A little bit of some strain going on there in the conversation. Again, they really didn't talk a lot about G.I.L. I didn't watch this episode. They went live during the FC Cincinnati game, and
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a
my
bold
priorities are sports.
Bold move.
So I listened to this on my podcatcher. So I'm assuming they were drinking G.I.L. during the episode,
They were.
as they should.
Yeah, I
as
saw
they
it.
should.
I watched it.
Awesome, fantastic.
I watched it probably just as they were finishing up, like as they were done.
So as it was going from live to like the pre-recorded,
Yes.
whatever. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bold strategy. Go live during FC games, during March Madness games,
yes,
football
yes.
games. Go live during regular work hours. It's kind of interesting. And
During weekends when
Yeah.
you're trying to do stuff, during the week when I'm trying to, wind down, get ready for my next work day.
the only thing they
It's
haven't
crazy.
done was gone live during the weekly pint.
Oh my God, they've got to do that next time.
They could do that today.
They could. Oh, that would be so much fun. Oh man, I did have a couple notes from the episode that they have nothing to do with beer, but a couple touch
Because the
points.
episode didn't really.
Right, but I mean, if people want to listen to it, this is what they can expect to hear, because it was some fun stuff. Caroline talked about throwing people off of the stage in Music Hall,
Yep.
which is something that apparently she's going to be doing very, very soon. They also talked about bougie dollar store items. Like,
Yes.
not everything's $1. Sometimes you get into that $3 range,
Yeah.
and holy crap,
That
that's
bougie-ass dollar
absolutely,
store.
absolutely. They went down to 13 below for St. Patrick's Day to watch the Cincinnati beer band play
Perfect
polka
sense.
music.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, I don't know. I
Makes
mean, what
perfect
else do you
sense.
do? What else do you do?
Well, I mean, that's if you're there, that's what you're going to do.
That's what you do. Talked about getting a lawnmower into a Camry. And
Yeah.
Caroline has already bought her summer beer, so that will be in the fridge for 6 months before they pull it out and drink it on one of
Yeah.
their episodes.
She's still got a pumpkin beer, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, is it a pumpkin cider that she had?
I know that. Was it? I know that I still have a can of the Apple Vibe from Braxton in my fridge that I'm kind of
The apple or the
thinking.
pumpkin?
I have the apple. I thought it was the pumpkin. It's the apple, so I might air quotes ice someone with it. Like, here you go. Here's a 2-ish
I
year
still
old
have like
Vibe.
4 or 5 vibes.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Rip to some of Braxton's brainchildren.
Yeah.
They started strong. Like, I really enjoyed them, but yeah.
Well, then
But that's all that I had
pandemic hit,
for
you know.
Craft Parenting Pod. Because again, they didn't really talk about beer very much.
They talked about the museum center.
Yes.
What else? Oh, you already covered the
I
music
already
hall.
gave you, yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, moving on.
All right. I'm going to throw this over to you to talk about our show's sponsor, Adam Makes Beer.
Thank you for sponsoring.
Thank you for. I mean, I'm assuming he knows he's sponsoring us.
No, the dollars are coming from somewhere.
Wait, we're getting dollars?
I just assumed so when you said it's sponsored.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean,
What do we get? Swag?
We
Do we
get,
get one of those mugs with his face on it?
Yes, and like the Adam Makes Beer stickers.
Yeah.
Yes. So Adam, just let me know when you need our address to send us.
He said that was the number one selling piece of merchandise was the mug
Yes,
with his face on it.
yes. Which, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen a picture of it. It's a cool mug.
He
Like,
stopped
it's a cool
drinking out of
looking
it
mug.
though, which is hilarious for him to drink
Would
out of a
you-
mug with his face on
well,
it.
yeah. Would you want to drink out of something with your face on it? That's what I'm gonna get you for your birthday. I'm gonna
I
get you a
have
mug
given
with your
somebody a
face on
mug
it.
with my face on it.
No, but would you want a mug with your face on it to drink out of? I'm gonna get
I mean,
that.
I would drink
Yeah.
out of it. It's kind of
You
funny.
have no shame. It's fine. So, Marco, tell us all about this week's episode of Adam Makes Beer, because again, it's not something we're going to take a deep dive into because of how technical it is, but we do want to shout out because it is an amazing, expansive bit of content
Oh,
that
yeah.
you get every single freaking day from Adam.
You get content every day. He does a live Q&A session, runs a lot of times for about 2 hours. And then he does an interview with someone in the beer space I don't want to call it necessarily brewer to brewer, but it's a sort of that way. But this most recent episode of the interview was with John Palmer, and he wrote a little book.
A little book?
It's called How to Brew.
That sounds like a pretty big book.
It's a big book. It's a big deal.
That's like the Bible of brewing, kind of.
It's a big deal. He had John Palmer on his podcast. By the way, John was extremely gracious on that episode with his time. There was even a part towards the end where John had to let his dog out.
Yeah.
And so John went, let his dog out, and came back.
How did Adam fill the void?
He talked about his sponsor, Blickman Engineering.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So it was really neat. It does go very deep into some categories that even for me as a brewer, I'm like, wow, this is really deep. Actually, I'd say probably half the conversation was way deeper than surface level, talking about parts per million of lactic acid versus phosphoric acid and just water profiles, and it was really geeky at some points.
So go ahead.
But it was really cool to hear just how the conversation just flowed. It went naturally into these places. And what's really cool is Adam Makes Beer is his content lane is for professionals.
Yes.
And people wanting to be or familiarize themselves with this professional space. Mm-hmm. So to take the guy who wrote the home brewing book and to go into a lot of these things because of the science, because of the chemistry, because of the tests that he's done, because that's his background, John Palmer. Was so interesting. I did actually watch the YouTube show over the course of 2 sessions. Mm-hmm. It was about an hour and 40 minutes, or right near 2 hours. So there's a lot of content in there, and it's just to me it was really, really very interesting, and that book certainly Adam took a lot of inspiration from, and it was really cool to get to see him have a conversation and interview the guy that wrote the book. So that's pretty awesome.
Have there been a lot of changes in brewing process, brewing technique since he wrote the book to what they talked about?
They did talk about that.
Okay.
They did talk about that, actually. So go and watch. There has been a lot of changes. God, there's so many more changes too that they didn't even cover. But
I'm sure. It's
John Palmer
vast.
has a couple of series of books, like How to Brew, and then I think How to Brew was updated and revised, or maybe it's another book. There's also the water book.
Nice.
So
Gnome, reach out to John for when you do your water episode.
Oh yeah,
because you can pull that expertise into it.
John does a lot of work with, I think it's the Master Brewers Association. Okay. I believe that's what it is.
Okay.
But yeah, most of his beer space work is Master Beer Judge. I don't know, something.
He's a master of something that relates to beer, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So
yes.
Great get, Adam.
I'm assuming that Adam will, as he typically does, snip portions of this conversation into little bite-sized chunks that he will be releasing daily.
I can only assume,
I would
obviously,
hope so,
because we haven't reached out to Adam directly to ask, but that's how he gets his daily content.
Right.
365 days a year, he takes his
amazing
longer format stuff and then clips it up. Yeah, like instead of putting out a 3-hour movie, you put out 4 45-minute episodes.
Exactly. Or you do what we do, and we cut down our 3 hours worth of show into an hour and a half for the public,
right.
And then the Patreon subscribers get absolutely every single minute of the nonsense that happens when we record.
My face hurt from laughing.
Oh my God.
Last week. And listen,
I'm trying to record, to like edit it and stuff, and I'm crying. Josh is looking over at me going, "What is going on?" I'm listening to the episode.
Right? Are you a Patreon?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And for those of you who think it's narcissistic to listen to your own podcast, I just want you to know Julia edits it. Okay?
Yeah,
I don't edit it. And the reason why
Marco has no
idea
idea what's actually going to hit the airwaves.
The reason why I listen is, number one, I want to try to get better at this. One day, maybe we will. But or I will. Julia's great.
Yeah.
The other reason is because I don't know what gets put out into the atmosphere. And so if someone approaches me in the business and wants to know, hey, what's up with this shit
thing? Yeah.
So I'm at least aware of what got put into the universe. So don't at me or at me. I don't care.
Totally at him.
Also, I want to do something that's totally unplanned, much like the rest of this podcast.
Yes.
I want to congratulate Julia and thank Julia for all that she does for this podcast and Cincy Beer events. I don't ever do this either. I went to Podbean and I just scrolled around a little bit, and right at the top, we're almost at 10,000 downloads.
Yeah, for the entire amount of time that we've been doing this.
For the entire amount of time that we've been doing this.
2.5-ish years,
I just
something
want
like
to say
that.
thank you. I truly appreciate everything that you do.
Man, we wouldn't be here without you, man.
Well, you're a fantastic friend, and I truly appreciate everything.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I'm going to cut all this. No.
Fucker, Marco.
God damn it, Marco. What are you doing? Actually, I mean, we're making really good time right now. We're at just about 20 minutes.
Well, we got plenty of time to fuck that up.
No, because we have somewhere to be. So
Okay.
I'm going to try to make sure we don't fuck that up. So there may not be a Patreon episode this week because there may not be anything really to cut. Do I really want to cut a 45-minute episode down to 30 minutes?
No, I mean, not if you don't want to.
Not if I have to.
It's all up to you.
Right. I mean, as long as we don't say anything too, off track. Which, again, Patreon, I'm sorry, maybe.
Julia, they get content every single week.
It's true, whether it's Patreon specific or not.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the only full show that we are going to recap today. Barstool Perspectives.
Yeah.
Which I talked to Bret a little bit at Fibonacci's Pi Day celebration.
How was
Pi Day
that?
contest. It was a lot of fun.
I wanted to make it, but I was busy.
It was a good time. There was a sleeper in the audience that volunteered to come up to eat one of the pies. Humble Monk had dropped out, and then Brink just kind of no call, no showed. So it was a little bit disappointing there. Apparently,
What happened, Andy?
Apparently there was an email sent, but it was sent like that day, and Betty had said, hey, if there are any issues, call me. Here's my number because I'm going to be busy doing stuff. And there was a breach in communication.
Gotcha.
So it was Adam from Higher Gravity, which he prepared. He had his whole plan for the entire day.
Because he thought about it the entire fucking year.
Yes. And he did great. He didn't win, but he did great. So Higher Gravity was there. Obviously, Urban Artifact was there, and Fibonacci was there. And so they asked for two or three other volunteers to come up on stage to eat some of the pie. And there was some lady from the crowd that came up, and she did phenomenal. And then there was this guy that when Josh and I showed up, there was a guy in the beer garden, he had a light colored beer in a glass. He was kind of leaned back. He was kind of in a meditative state. And I'm like, oh, I bet he's participating in this. And then he wasn't up on stage. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe not. Then they asked for volunteers, and his hand immediately shot up. And we're like, oh.
Uh-oh.
Shit's about to go down.
The ringer.
This is about to be a thing. And apparently he's one of the former bartenders from Fibonacci, Dylan, which he must not have ever been there when I've been there because I didn't recognize him. Feel bad about that. But I mean, again, I don't know everybody. And my God, he tore that pie up. It was beyond impressive. It was a fantastic time. The weather was great. The goats were doing their goat stuff. Tina the chicken was running around saying hi to everyone, trying to get people to give them, pieces of pizza and all that. And after everything was said and done, Josh Nome and I were sitting at the bar inside and watched a guy almost throw up on the bar. It was great.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a bit too many. So
too many pies?
No, he was not a participant, so he had a few too many, and hopefully...
I could imagine some pie eating contestants might vomit. But
Adam said that he was going to be staying very close to
a trash can?
To the bathroom for the rest
okay.
of the night after they got home. So, but he did great. You know,
maybe next year Fibonacci could give out complimentary vomit buckets.
We actually talked not about vomit buckets, but there were a couple like younger kids. They're like, "Oh, that looks fun. That looks fun." I'm like, that might be kind of fun to have. You have to pre-register, pre-sign up, in a very limited, like 3 or 4 kids from maybe 8 to 12, and they just have to eat like a slice of pie. Because that could be fun, like kind of get it, a little more expansive, do a little more with it, and that way, if you have a brewery that doesn't show up, that one pie doesn't go to waste.
Well, somewhere there's a child who loves competitive eating and one day wants to be a competitive eater.
Wants
and that
to
could be
kick Joey Chestnut off of his pedestal.
Could be, the start of an amazing journey.
I mean, there was a kid last year that absolutely crushed it in his attempt. I know that Jason from Higher Gravity, he said that, his kid wished that he could be up there. I think that could be something.
Uber competitive.
Oh my God, yes. You saw him when we played chess. It was one of those, oh my God, I'm getting my ass kicked by, this is not fair. Not fair at all. But no, it's absolutely awesome. It was a great time. Fibonacci always does a phenomenal job with their Pi Day celebration. Regardless of how many people show up to actually participate in said pie eating competition.
Oh, we done did it. We got sidetracked.
Absolutely, we did, but we have time. It's okay. Let's get into Barstool perspective from March 18th, 2024. Liquid Death has a valuation of $1.4 billion. That's with a B. $billion. Which part of me felt a little bit attacked during this episode because
part of me felt a little bit responsible. I've only bought like 4 packs of that stuff.
Oh, I used to subscribe.
Subscribe?
Yeah, like get it auto shipped.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And then Josh is like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then I didn't. Josh is my voice of reason. Like, hands down, no joke. I get these ideas of fancy in my head, and he's like, "Let's rein that in a little bit." But that came towards like the last part of the episode. They tend to go over. They
save that towards the end.
Yeah, so
They tease it at the beginning and saved it towards the endish.
Yes, they have not had a question of the day / question of the week in a couple episodes now. So maybe Bret and Mike, we know you're huge listeners. We enjoy those. So let's see if we can bring those back potentially. Bret does not watch any of the same shows that Mike does, but they may both watch the upcoming TV show about the Guinness dynasty.
Right.
Which that could be, depending on what streaming service or whatever it's on. If I have it, I will watch that. I felt like
they could have gone back and forth about different TV shows, and neither one of them would have overlapped.
Oh, do you watch this? No. Well, what about this? Do you watch that? No.
Well,
how about this one? Do you watch this?
And then they explain it.
Right.
Yeah.
It was amazing hearing them talk about TV shows, because I don't see either of them as being people that just sit around all night watching TV. Yeah. Like, maybe there'll be a show that they both, with their respective wives and all that, are like, oh, we'll kind of catch an episode, but they're not binging it or anything like that. So the fact that either of them has seen any show is actually pretty surprising.
Did you notice how dark and shiny Michael Brings the D. Morgan's foo was?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. It was, a little distracting, if I can be honest with that.
Yeah.
From there, they moved into the fact that Costco's wine slaps. It's good for consumers, but is it potentially detrimental to local wineries?
Interesting take.
It was a very interesting take.
I'm not gonna spoil it for you. As soon as I saw that happen, the very night before, I had talked about it on this podcast before, where I had watched on occasion sommelier Andre Houston Mack on the Bon Appetit channel on YouTube. He did an episode tasting and commenting about the Costco wines.
Was that the link that was the...
Yeah.
I'll put that in our show notes so that other people can watch that as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was a really, really good episode.
It was, for someone that really... Like, I'm still trying to figure out wine, just like, bourbons and other spirits. I'm still trying to figure out how much do I like it, how much am I getting into it. And that was really neat to listen to, because I'm going, I don't know how much I'm really going to get out of this, because I don't know any of this stuff. I'm not as interested in wine as I am beer. But it was a great video. Thank you very much for sending it over.
Oh, you're welcome. I found it. I find the videos with him in them very enjoyable. Most of the time, they're 15 to 20 minute watches, and I just enjoy them. There's a whole slew of them out there. I think I've ran through just about all of them. But yeah, it was coincidental actually. So yeah,
perfect timing. Perfect timing. Mike pulls back the curtain on celebrity liquor brands and exposes the real reason that so many celebrities partner with liquor. I mean, it was an absolute breakthrough, and he even revealed some of the names of the celebrities that he knows personally and got their personal stories about why did you get into this tequila, this gin, this whatever it might be.
Somebody who has had a successful writing career, that's a very successful professor, somebody who's deep-rooted in Cincinnati beer and Cincinnati historic architecture, and just trying to really save and revitalize a lot of the history. It's not that far-fetched that he runs around in circles with people like George Clooney,
absolutely,
and his father.
Yeah. I mean, I believe, didn't he say that Rosemary babysat him back in the day? Back in the day.
Woody Harrelson and he, shared some...
They've shared some shots.
Yeah.
Man, can you imagine the scene at that bar? Woody Harrelson and Mike Brings the D. Morgan just taking shots, talking about...
I would be intimidated.
I would be too.
Yeah.
I would be absolutely amused, entertained, but also I'm like, I'm going to keep my
Not so much about Woody Harrelson, but about Mike. Yes.
Let's see, what else do we have here? A tax credit to get new draft lines is not a good thing. And they go into
does
why.
This make sense?
The way they explain it, because my first thought was, how is that a bad thing? But then when they kind of went into it, I'm like, okay, depending on how they do it, I can see how that could be.
That's weird as fuck.
A bad thing.
That's
or
strange.
A weird thing, yeah.
It's not the same concept as like with the baby powder when they wanted to sell more baby powder. They made the holes bigger.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same concept. If you add more draft lines, you're not going to sell more beer.
No.
That's just so weird.
And the people that would benefit from them, it's like it's not going to help the people that need the help, is what it felt like based on their conversation. I could be wrong. I don't know. I didn't look into it. I didn't look into any of that. But the way that they presented it, the rich keep getting richer.
Yeah. I mean, make up your own mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Then they got on to the main subject of the episode, liquid death and how it fucks the shit out of Dasani.
Oh, my God. Oh my God.
The video, like the visual that Bret put together for when he brought up, that was absolutely amazing.
It was perfect.
Absolutely amazing. And as we talked about before, like, I like Liquid Death. I think that out of the packaged waters that are out there, I think it's one that tastes the best. Their sparkling waters, their flavored waters, their line of teas. Like, I think they're doing a pretty good job. Yes, it's corporate as fuck. Yes, it's one of those, they're not necessarily saving the world by having aluminum because of the plastic liners in the cans. But man, what they're doing, so far they're doing it right, and I don't see that ship sinking anytime soon. I know that it was brought up like there's a water bubble, like people talk about the craft beer bubble. This is it. I don't know. If they keep kind of expanding their portfolio the way that they are, I don't know that Liquid Death is going anywhere. And I think they've earned that $1.4 billion valuation.
I don't know what their distribution footprint is. What I'd say is if they're only in 10 states or 12 states, or are they in all, 50 states plus
48 contingent, yeah.
I don't know. If they're not, then that's where the growth is going to be, by going into new markets.
They're on Amazon, and I'm on their mailing list because I'm a corporate shill like that. And like even their ads when they're like, hey, if you don't want to pay for shipping by buying through our website, buy it from us on Amazon. Like, they promote like purchasing their stuff from Amazon, which is kind of weird. Like, normally it's, oh, come to us. If you come directly to us, we'll give you a discount, do whatever. They're like, no. You can save a couple bucks by buying our stuff through Amazon. It's like, okay, this is weird, but all right.
Yeah.
You've had Liquid Death, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say if you put 4 carbonated waters in front of me if I could taste the difference.
Right, yeah.
But I do like Liquid Death. I was in a stretch for a couple of months where I was buying the packs of Liquid Death, and then I was like, you know what? This is just a lot to shell out for bubbly water.
Yeah.
And so then I just stopped buying.
See, I'm even worse than that. Because I'm not a huge fan of sparkling water unless there's flavor in it, and even then there has to be enough flavor in it for me to like it. I bought the still.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I was buying flat water in cans. And I still have 2 12-packs in my basement that I haven't opened up yet.
Oh my gosh. What are you waiting for, a water main break or something?
I mean, COVID hit, and I was like, let's make sure that if some shit goes down, I have water here. Not a lot, obviously. It's not going to get me very far, but yeah, that's when Josh was like, why exactly? What's happening here?
I do feel like I taste the difference in still water with Fiji, though.
Yeah, I do feel like, and I think it all boils down to the minerals that are either added or not added to the water. I think that depending on the region, and I could be completely wrong about this. I haven't looked at this in a very long time. But Dasani, they're one example for Dasani.
But they
depending
add
on
minerals.
depending on what region, what Coke plant they're bottling that in, those regions have different tasting water because every area has different minerals and all that.
Fiji.
There shouldn't be anything.
Well, it's
outside of that where they're getting it.
Is dripped off the back and then ass crack of a Polynesian lady.
No, I did notice that they didn't say it went through her ass crack, but I'm sorry, you can't just have it go down her back and it's not touching the crack. You know what I mean? So I think they were trying to be a little bit PG with their episode, which I'm not sure why they would start now.
No.
With that, but
they did have a news break.
Oh, that's true.
They did break news.
That is true. Are we gonna spoil that, or are we gonna let them have?
We're gonna let them have that.
All right.
It was actually an official announcement. I think today, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
However,
19th.
They broke the news yesterday.
I did let Bret know when I talked to him at Pi Day. I'm like, hey, I noticed that your book, you and Mike's book, Tanked in Cincinnati, is available for pre-order on Amazon. And Amazon says the release date is in May and not June. And he was like, I didn't even know it was out there. I'm like, yeah, apparently. He's like, they didn't tell us they were doing that. I'm guessing they, publishers, whoever. So, once again, I will put a link. I will put Gnome's affiliate link for Amazon Tanked in Cincinnati so that Gnome gets 0.1 cent if you order through the link in our show notes. Pre-order a copy of this book. Don't wait.
I'm getting to it.
It's going to be fantastic. If you like what Bret and Mike are doing on their podcast, on Barstool Perspectives, you're going to like this book. It is their conversations and their interviews with an untold number of amazing people from beer history, and I cannot wait to get my hands on multiple copies. Hopefully they will sign 1 or 7 for me so I can resell them on eBay at a loss to what I paid for them, because who wants their signatures besides us? But check out the show notes. Click on the link. Give Gnome 2 cents and pre-order a couple copies of the book so that Bret and Mike can tell their wives, hey, look, we're making $1 back from what we've done. Or whatever the payback is for that. I have no idea.
It's an addition to Bret's byline, right? The author.
It's gonna buy, yes.
Yeah.
Do that, and Urban will be able to buy another fermenter for the brewery. I'm making that shit up.
Congratulations on being what are they, third in volume in the Cincinnati area?
Maybe
it was Rhinegeist
it's
Mad Tree,
and
I think it was
Urban.
I think it was Urban, and then March 1st, maybe?
It's been a bit since I've looked at that, so I could be wrong. But I'm going to say that, yes, they are. They're in the top 5.
It posted 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 5 days ago, something.
They're in the top 5, if nothing else, I believe. Yeah. They're up there.
Yeah.
I do have a sip count for this episode.
Oh, good.
So are you ready for that?
Yeah.
All right. Mike took a total. He was actually a heavy sipper today. He took a total of 10 sips.
Oh, wow.
Bret was heavier, as is typical. He takes smaller sips.
Smaller glass.
And a smaller glass. He took 16.
Okay.
So we had a total of 26 sips, which is 52 ounces, which boils down to, in this less than 30 minutes, it was like 25-ish minutes.
Yeah.
You are drinking, if you're playing by our game, not by their volume of drinking, 3.25 pints.
In
3
25
1/4.
minutes?
Yeah. If you know how to open your throat, you can
I
do
could
it.
do
There's no way I could. You see how? Look at how long it is. Okay, we're at like 41 minutes. I am still not done with my baby Peso.
Yeah, I could do that.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll get on Zoom next time and we'll see.
Okay.
We'll toss this back. That's actually all that we have for today, because again, we have to get down to over the Rhine and drink a shit ton of amazing Kolsch beer that is not honeyed,
Right.
but it is still absolutely delicious. Thank you to Fretboard for not knowing that they were hosting us here tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
But we graciously utilize their space and
we grace them
enjoyed
with
it.
our presence.
Absolutely. It's because of us that they have big corporate party showing up tonight for happy hours.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Is there anything else that you want to throw out there, Marco, before I start doing our outro?
Just go and listen and follow Cincy Beer events. And thank you, everyone that's been with us for a long time. And thank you to everyone who is new. I truly appreciate your listenership. And come on, people, get us over 10,000 downloads. Let's go.
Hell yeah, we can do this. If you like what we've done tonight, you know the drill. You know what to do. Like, review, subscribe, share. All of our episodes are audio only on YouTube. We occasionally do videos. If we weren't going to Kolsch night tonight, we would be drinking a whole bunch of baseball-themed beers from Cincinnati on video and putting them out on YouTube. But because of Kolsch night, we've got to do that next week. So depending on how many podcasts there are, we may have to shuffle some stuff around and move stuff around, but that will happen. So follow our YouTube channel at Truth Beer Pod. Follow us anywhere on social media at Truth Beer Pod. Send us an email with whatever you want to tell us, truthbeerpod@gmail.com. And if you want full, unedited episodes of everything that we do tonight, this week might be different. There's not going to be a lot for me to cut. Go to truthbeerpod.com. Links to everything, including our Patreon and how to subscribe. It's a hell of a lot of fun. As Elijah has said more than once, it's a laugh out loud time.
Yeah.
We go
Thanks, Elijah.
off of even more diving boards and into more rancid rabbit holes than we do on the public episode of the show. And it's terrifying, and you have got to be a part of the nonsense. Absolutely part of the nonsense. With that being said, Marco, what you going to be doing next Tuesday?
I'm going to be doing this, Julia, and I guess we'll decide where.
Where? Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers. Sounds great. We'll see you guys there.